Desiree's Dream. Chapter 18. A Kiss to Remember. The crisp air carried the scent of pine as they returned to the secluded cabin, their haven amidst the wilderness. Desi marched towards the wooden structure with determined steps, her eyes gleaming with purpose. Without hesitation, she reached the threshold and began issuing commands, directing Alex to quickly arrange their belongings. But a sudden pause halted their bustling activity. Desi's mischievous and playful grin captured Alex's attention. "Where do we sleep?" she asked, her voice trailing off as if the idea had only just occurred to her. Alex's gaze met hers, a smile cracking his face. "Here," he replied, his voice soft yet confident. "We sleep here together." Desi's expression shifted, her eyes widening with curiosity and surprise. Alex's laughter filled the small cabin, as if in response to her unspoken question. He spoke as if he were in a Shakespeare play. "Fear not, my dear," he assured, his voice laced with warmth. "For I've prepared a place of my own, a lean-to attached to our home. A humble space for me, but it grants us both privacy." He gestured towards the back of the cabin, where the late afternoon sun cast long shadows. "Tonight, I'll sleep there, close enough to hear your every call." Desi inhaled, the scent of fresh timber and the promise of a new beginning filling her lungs. The cabin, a testament to Alex and Joe's craftsmanship, stood firm against the elements, offering a sanctuary. Attached to this sanctuary was Alex's creation, a workspace by day and a shelter by night, where he crafted, found solace, and ensured his presence would always be a comforting one for Desi. The morning mist hung low over the cabin, a gentle haze hinting at the warmth of the day. Desi, with her sun-kissed hair and determined gaze, busied herself with the familiar routine of domesticity. Each day, as Alex ventured off to the paper mill, with his footsteps fading into the distance, Desi transformed into a whirlwind of activity. She hummed as she carried a basket filled with freshly laundered clothing from the creek. The basket's woven reeds brushed against her apron, worn soft from countless days of use. A makeshift clothesline, crafted from sturdy twine, awaited the garments, and with careful precision, she pinned them, allowing the gentle breeze to caress the fabric. The scent of wet earth and the nearby creek accompanied her as she worked, a peaceful atmosphere that only nature could provide. Next, she tended to the garden, her sanctuary of vibrant life. The rich, dark soil yielded to her touch as she dug small holes for the seeds. Corn, string beans, and tomatoes, their future growth promising a bountiful harvest. She planted black-eyed peas and collard greens, their names like old friends she had known all her life. The garden flourished under her care, a testament to her green thumb. Desi's movements attracted curious creatures. Birds chirped in the nearby trees, melodies a backdrop to her labor. Occasionally, she'd spot a squirrel darting between branches, its nimble movements a playful dance. But it was the feeling of being watched that intrigued her the most. Desi often sensed hidden eyes observing her, yet no creature revealed itself. The encounter with the fairy, a secret she kept close, left her both fascinated and cautious. As the sun reached its zenith, Desi's chores came to an end. She returned to the cabin, where her loyal companion, Beauregard, waited for her on the porch. His golden fur glistened in the sunlight, and he offered a contented lick on her leg as she sat beside him, his warm body comforting. Together, they watched the road, eager for the familiar sight of Alex's returning figure. After a while, Desi went inside the cabin to tend to the stew. Alex was late, and she wondered why. The cast-iron pot, a fixture in their home, always held a simmering meal, ready to welcome Alex home. Desi's culinary skills were a source of pride, and the aroma of her cooking filled the cabin with a homely warmth. Yet, as the days turned into weeks, a restlessness grew within her. She yearned for the vibrant streets of Mobile and the adventures that awaited beyond the cabin's confines. The alley, with its mysteries and familiar faces like Joe, beckoned to her, a siren song she found hard to ignore. In this tranquil setting, Desi's days, filled with simple pleasures and hidden wonders, but her spirit yearned for the unknown, for the adventures that lay beyond the creek and the garden. The sun had just begun to set, casting a warm glow over the bustling city as Alex, with a determined look, made his way through the familiar streets. He had a memorable evening planned for Desi. His footsteps echoed on the pavement, quickening with anticipation as he neared the place that held so many memories for him. The Admiral Hotel stood tall, its elegant facade illuminated by the fading light, and he felt a surge of excitement. Entering the grand lobby, Alex approached the receptionist, his heart racing. He requested a table for two by the window, explaining it was for a special occasion. The receptionist smiled warmly, assuring him it would be a perfect setting for the evening. For an additional fee, the reservation was secured, and Alex could almost picture Desi's delight at the breathtaking view of the city lights. Stepping out of the hotel, he took a deep breath, filling his lungs with the crisp evening air, a mix of magnolias, and the distant aroma of freshly baked goods from a nearby bakery. He made his way to the general store, its wooden shelves stocked with various goods. As he picked up the cleaning supplies, the scent of pine and lemon wafted from the bottles, a promise of freshness for their home on wheels. The walk back to the cabin was peaceful, the sky transforming into a canvas of purple and orange hues. As Alex approached, the familiar scent of their small dwelling greeted him with a mixture of wood smoke, stew simmering, and the faint fragrance of Desi's lavender soap. He knew Desi was inside, her presence a comfort he had come to rely on. Alex went right to his lean-to, where he washed, the cool water calming his nerves. His reflection in the small mirror showed a man transformed by love, his eyes shining with determination. Busy by the fireplace, Desi stirred the stew, its aroma filling the room with a homely warmth. She heard the soft sounds of Alex's return and knew he'd wash first. A gentle knock on the door made her smile, her heart skipping a beat. "Come in," she called out, her voice soft and inviting. The door creaked open, and Alex entered with the pile of work clothes in his arms. Desi's eyes lit up at the sight of him. "Put those over there," she said, gesturing to the corner. "Dinner will be ready in a jiffy." She moved gracefully, placing a ceramic bowl on the table beside the large pot and ladling the stew into it, steam rising in tendrils that carried the scent of herbs and slow-cooked meat. As she turned to set the bowl before Alex, he took her hand, his grasp warm and gentle. "Desi," he said, his voice low and filled with emotion. "Next Friday, I want you ready for a special evening. We're going out to the Admiral Hotel for dinner." His words hung in the air, filled with promise. Desi's eyes widened, a mix of surprise and curiosity. She took a small step back, her hand gently slipping from his as she asked, "But why? Is it a special occasion?" Her gaze searched his, wondering if she had missed some important date. Alex smiled, a hint of nervousness in his eyes. "No, my sweet Desi, it's not a birthday or anniversary. I want to treat you, to show you how much you mean to me." He paused, his thumb gently caressing the back of her hand. "And I have some things to say, things I've kept in my heart for too long." Desi's breath caught as she remembered the night he had given her the fairy book. His expression filled with the exact unspoken words he was about to reveal. She took a seat, her eyes never leaving his, as she awaited his following words, her heart fluttering with anticipation. The hotel, a grand establishment in the heart of Mobile, exuded an air of sophistication and luxury that Desi found utterly captivating. While Alex, her partner in crime, preferred adventure and spontaneity, Desi preferred preparedness. She had spent the past few days immersing herself in etiquette books, learning the intricacies of fine dining and high society manners. As the big day arrived, Desi's excitement grew. She watched Alex leave in his wagon, the morning sun glinting off its wooden sides, as he headed to the paper mill for daily work. Left alone, Desi dedicated her day to preparations. She carefully ironed their finest clothes, the scent of freshly pressed linen filling the air, and polished their shoes until they gleamed. Every detail mattered to her, from the silk ribbon she tied in her hair to the subtle fragrance of lavender that wafted from her dress. In the quiet cabin, Desi took out her cherished collection of cosmetics, a testament to her journey into womanhood. The wooden floorboards creaked as she walked barefoot to the full-length mirror, where she laid out her lipsticks, powders, and rouges on a polished maple table. As Desi studied her reflection in the mirror, the room was bathed in the warm afternoon light, illuminating her face. Desi's heart swelled with emotion as she beheld the transformation of the girl she once was into the stunning young woman she had become. Each curl, meticulously set with cider stick rollers, bounced with vitality as she removed them, one by one. She ran her fingers through her soft hair, the brush gliding smoothly, and applied a ribbon to accent her natural beauty. The powder puff felt like a cloud against her skin, and the rouge and lipstick added a touch of glamour. Desi's heart skipped a beat as she realized the significance of this evening. The fading light of late September signaled 5 o'clock, and Desi slipped into her gown. The light blue fabric whispered against her skin, its hem brushing the floor, adorned with a neckline of sparkling rhinestones. She sat on the edge of the bed, anticipation building as she imagined Alex's reaction to her appearance. The sound of distant hooves broke the silence, and Desi rushed to the window, her heart racing excitedly. With his charismatic smile, Alex urged the horse to a quicker pace as he approached their cabin. Desi's face lit up with joy, and she hurried back to the mirror, making final adjustments to her attire. Her heart pounded with nerves and anticipation as she waited for him. The wagon pulled up, and Desi's breath caught as she heard Alex's footsteps. He stomped to the door, filling the air with hay, leather, and the musky scent of hard work. Desi stood before the fireplace, her figure illuminated by the dancing flames, as Alex entered. He was momentarily speechless, captivated by her radiant beauty, his eyes drinking in every detail. "Well, aren't you going to get dressed?" Desi teased, her voice breaking the spell. Alex shook off his reverie and went to change, returning moments later, looking dapper and handsome. He inhaled deeply, savoring the scent of Desi's perfume, a delicate blend of roses and jasmine, as they set off on their journey. Under the starry night sky, they reached the hotel. Alex guided the horse to a hitching post in front of an antique store, its windows glinting with the reflections of the streetlights. They walked the remaining distance, their arms intertwined, the faint strains of a waltz carrying on the crisp autumn air. Desi's excitement grew with each step, her fingers tightening around Alex's arm. The restaurant's grand entrance welcomed them with the shimmer of crystal chandeliers and golden ceilings. A tall, elegant host in a tailored gray suit greeted them, his voice carrying over the orchestra's melody. "May I help you, sir?" he inquired. "We've come to dine," he announced with a deep, resonating voice that commanded attention. "I have reservations under the name Alexander Monroe." His full name rolled off his tongue, a name that Desi had only heard in fragments before. It suited him, she thought, a name fit for the man he had become. Desi's heart fluttered as she took in the sight of him, standing tall and proud. His dark brown eyes sparkled under the warm lights, and his red hair, once unruly, now tamed, framed his handsome face. As the host acknowledged their presence, Desi couldn't help but notice the subtle change in Alex's demeanor. He had always been charming, but now, there was an air of sophistication about him that left her breathless. A waiter approached, leading them to a secluded table by the window, where the city lights twinkled in the distance. The soft murmur of conversations and the gentle clinking of cutlery created a soothing melody. Desi's eyes never left Alex as they sat across from each other, the table between them a temporary barrier to their yearning. He slid the menu towards her, his fingers brushing against hers, sending a wave of electricity through her body. Desi's gaze was fixed on him, her heart overflowing with love and adoration. She saw the man she had always known, but now he was more of a masterpiece, a work of art come to life. Sensing her adoration, Alex leaned forward, his hand gently covering hers. His touch was warm and reassuring, sending shivers down her spine. "Desi," he began, his voice soft and tender, now I'm not the most eloquent man, and I often stumble over my words when I'm with you." Desi's eyes widened, and she shook her head slightly, not wanting him to undermine the power of his presence. She knew he struggled with words, but it didn't matter. "But tonight," he continued, his grip tightening ever so slightly, "I want you to know that your friendship has been the cornerstone of my existence. You are more than a friend, Desi." His voice grew stronger, his words echoing in her mind. "I can no longer bear the thought of you seeing me as just a friend because I feel so much more." A tear escaped Desi's eye, and she quickly brushed it away, not wanting to interrupt the flow of his confession. Alex's words were like a melody, carefully chosen and delivered with such raw emotion. "I think of you constantly, Desi. Every moment apart feels like an eternity. I can't wait to see you, hear your voice, and be near you." He paused, his eyes searching hers for any hint of rejection. "Will you do me the honor of being my girlfriend? Of letting me show you how much you mean to me?" Desi's heart was pounding in her chest, her throat constricted, tears unshed. She nodded, unable to form words, her eyes brimming with joy and love. "Yes," she finally whispered, her voice hoarse with emotion. "Yes, I will." Alex's face broke into a brilliant smile, and he leaped from his seat in unbridled joy, shouting a triumphant yell. The sudden movement caused his belt to catch on the tablecloth, sending dishes and a water pitcher crashing to the floor, soaking Desi's dress and hair. They both froze for a moment, caught in the aftermath of his exuberance. The restaurant fell silent, all eyes on the couple. Alex's face paled, his freckles standing out against his flushed cheeks. He looked at Desi, his eyes pleading for forgiveness. Slowly, the orchestra started playing, and the crowded restaurant came alive with applause. In the corner, by the window, a young girl stood on her toes with her hands on the boy's shoulders, gently and sweetly touching her lips to his. To Desi, nothing in the world could overshadow the beautiful words Alex had engraved in her heart that night in a crowded restaurant in a quaint southern city on the bay. The years that followed were a blur of happiness and love for Desi and Alex. They had become inseparable, their love deepening with each passing day. Alex's work took a toll on him. His strong arms now bore the scars of many late nights spent crafting beautiful creations from paper. Desi, always by his side, had become an accomplished artist, her paintings adorning the walls of their home. On their anniversary, Alex decided to take Desi back to the restaurant where they had shared their first kiss. It had become a tradition for them, a way to relive the magic of that night. As they entered the grand foyer, the familiar sounds of the orchestra filled the air, transporting them back to that fateful evening. Desi wore a gown of deep violet, a royal-colored fabric that flowed gracefully around her. Her hair, once in rollers, now fell in loose curls past her shoulders, with a single, perfect curl hanging by her cheek. She exuded an ethereal beauty that drew admiring glances wherever she went. Ever the proud companion, Alex wore a fine suit, his broad shoulders filling it perfectly. His once youthful face now bore the marks of a man who had known both hardship and joy, his eyes shining with a wisdom beyond his years. They sat by the window, holding hands, their eyes sparkling with the memories of their youth. The waiter, recognizing them from previous visits, brought them a bottle of the finest champagne, a gift from the owner who had witnessed their love story unfold. Desi leaned over and whispered in Alex's ear as they sipped the bubbling liquid, her warm breath sending shivers down his spine. "Do you remember the first time we came here? How nervous we were, and how I fumbled with my words," Alex said, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "And how you knocked over the water pitcher and doused me with it. I think the whole restaurant thought I had gone for an impromptu swim." Desiree replied, her eyes sparkling with delight. Alex laughed, a deep, rich sound that filled the room. Indeed, my love. And yet, despite my clumsiness, you still said yes. Desi's eyes softened as she gazed at him. How could I not? You were the answer to all my dreams. I knew that night that my life would forever be intertwined with yours. Alex stood as the orchestra reached a crescendo, taking Desi's hand. My dearest Desi, you are the light in my life, the air I breathe. Tonight, I want to give you something that symbolizes our enduring love. He produced a small box from his pocket, its velvet surface shimmering in the candlelight. Desi's breath caught in her throat as she opened it, revealing a pair of diamond earrings, each stone a brilliant teardrop that reflected the candlelight in 1,000 sparkling fragments. They are beautiful, Desi whispered, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Alex gently took the earrings from the box and leaned forward, his warm breath tickling her ear as he whispered, "Let me put them on for you." His fingers, calloused from years of work, were gentle as he fastened the earrings, his touch sending shivers down Desi's spine. Alex pulled back as the final earring clicked into place, his eyes darkened with desire. "You are breathtaking, my love," he murmured, his gaze intense. Desi's heart hammered in her chest as she stood, her body pressed against Alex's. "And you, my dear, are the only man I have ever loved." Their lips met in a kiss that was both passionate and tender, a kiss that spoke of years of shared love and devotion. The orchestra's music swelled, and the other patrons continued their meal, enjoying the sweet melodies. Alex and Desi's love story begins in the city's alleys, where two homeless children live with nothing but each other. Now, they were a testament to the power of love to transcend circumstances, a shining example of the beauty that can arise from the ashes. As they left the restaurant, arm in arm, the city lights glittered like stars. Their future was uncertain, but they knew they could face challenges together. Their love, forged in the fires of adversity, would endure forever.